At Cinemazi Studio and Cinemazi Archives, it's always some year in the past. We are celebrating 30 years of Aashiqui, and by that, we are not just celebrating 30 years of a great musical hit, but we are also relooking, traveling back in time, and reliving 3 decades of a sound that has come to define Hindi cinema. Up until 1990, when Aashiqui released, there had been numerous love stories, there had been great musical love stories. Music was discovered, rediscovered, rejigged on a regular basis every decade or so. But what happened in the middle of 1990 with Mahesh Bhatt's Aashiqui, which was produced by Gulshan Kumar of Super Cassette Industries, which is also known as T-Series. It had the music of Nadeem Shravan, who became overnight sensations, even though they had been struggling for a few decades to crack into the market. It was also the advent of Kumar Sanu, the arrival of Sameer as a lyricist in its truest form, and a rediscovery of sorts of Anuradha Paudwal, who had been singing songs. She had sung songs for great music directors like Lakshmikant Pyarelal, sung for filmmakers such as Subhash Ghai, but never able to transcend a certain boundary. What were these boundaries? What was the mood in 1990 that changed when Aashiqui arrived on the scene? What happened to Mahesh Bhatt's filmography pre-Aashiqui and post-Aashiqui? There are so many things to discover. It's not just 30 years of Aashiqui. It is in fact, in many ways, 30 years of popular Hindi films, or at least the sound of popular Hindi films. Let's just hit the right notes and relive this journey as we celebrate 30 years of Aashiqui. Aashiqui. Rahul is a singer in a good restaurant. One day when he comes home, his mother, Rohini, tells him that his father is getting married to another woman. This sends a chill down Rahul's spine, and in a fit of anger, he goes to the venue where he starts vandalizing the property in that area and lands himself in police custody. In the police custody, he sees a girl shivering and cold. He offers her his jacket, and it is love at first sight. Well, if you were to read the synopsis of Aashiqui, you're not going to believe that that film changed everything as far as music in Hindi films went. But that is the truth of the matter. At a time when Hindi film music was almost on its way to a revival of sorts, the disco era of 1980s had come to an end, and with films like Qiyamut Se Qiyamut Tak and Maine Pyar Kiya a year later in 1989, the sound of Hindi film music was changing again. Melody was making a comeback. But nothing was as big a boost as the success of a film called Aashiqui. Produced by Gulshan Kumar, who was the owner of Super Cassette Industries, or T-Series as the company is more popularly known, and directed by Mahesh Bhatt, who had had a phenomenal body of work even up until that time with hits like Naam, Arth, Saransh. But he was not a commercially viable or a commercially successful filmmaker in the terms as the industry would like to slot. Now, Aashiqui is a film which is a very typical love story. In fact, it even says love makes life live, and it had a very nice little logo, but it was made with newcomers. And the focus was not on the actors as much as the brands involved, and that too primarily Mahesh Bhatt. But everybody involved with the film knew that the music of the film is going to be the biggest talking point in days and perhaps years to come. And this is what they were all focused on. The music of the film was released a few months before the film came out. It captured the imagination of everybody. There was a sound that people heard which was a throwback to the 70s and 80s music. Nobody knew about the music directors of the film, Nadeem Shravan, even though they had been struggling for almost a decade before they struck gold with Aashiqui. One of the things that really worked in the music's favor was the use of Kumar Sanu. Now, Kumar Sanu was, for the want of any other term, known as a Kishore Kumar clone up until that time. That is somewhere trying to undermine the impact that Kumar Sanu's voice, Kumar Sanu's style had on Hindi film music. beginning from say 1990 up until the end of the decade, where even though his output may have reduced post 95 with the success of Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, where Udit Narayan kind of made a comeback of sorts and became the mainstay of male playback singers as far as Hindi cinema, Hindi films went. But Shanu was the biggest name in Hindi film music, and his popularity at the peak mirrored the success that Kishore Kumar enjoyed at certain phases of his career. This is no comparison between Kishore Kumar and Kumar Sanu, or I'm not even suggesting that, Shanu is as great as Kishore Kumar or greater. Nothing of that sort. Both singers have their own brilliance, and of course there is nobody who can hold a candle to Kishore Kumar. But the popularity, the kind of visibility that Kumar Sanu had as a playback singer and somebody who was not a star like Kishore Kumar or an actor, was phenomenal and even unmatched. Now the music of the film is what made all the difference. Nadeem Shravan became overnight sensations. This was also the film where the music really helped boost the career of Sameer as a lyricist, because the songs then became a kind of a template for times to come. The arrival of Aashiqui is also at a time where audio cassettes were truly becoming cheaper due to the production quality, due to the assembly line production that Super Cassette Industries had made its calling card. That also played a big role in popularizing the film. Now the film as such is no great shakes. It's a classic love story, boy meets girl, there are X number of hurdles, Y number of people who are troubling them, and everything works in favor, and nobody was even interested in making sure that the visuals of the film are anything spectacular. Of course, the film was shot by Praveen Bhatt, and it has some very inspired moments, some lovely choreography of songs, especially Jaane Jigar Jaane Man, which was shot in Ooty, or even the title track Ek Sanam Chahiye Aashiqui Ke Liye, which was shot in a nightclub. The kind of lighting was very signature Praveen Bhatt, but this is not the film where these factors, costume design, makeup, narrative, screenplay, dialogues, they all take a back seat, and they're not even involved in making the film that big a success. It was only the music, the playback singers, and the lyricist. And legend has it that it was in fact Rahul Roy's real life story which inspired Mahesh Bhatt to come up with the basic plot structure for Aashiqui. Rahul has a twin brother. They went through a lot of hardships because of a separation that their parents had, and it was Rahul's mother's story that impressed Mahesh Bhatt. And Mahesh Bhatt, who was known to take real life incidents and put them in his films, be it getting inspired by his own life and mirroring that in Arth, or somewhere getting impressed with the struggles of elderly people and putting that in the context of Saransh. Even the story of Naam, even though written by Salim Khan and had very little to do Mahesh Bhatt's real life, but the kind of the kind of tension that the step brothers who grew up as brothers end up having is also somewhere very reminiscent of the universe that Mahesh Bhatt tries to explore right from his first film Lahu Ke Do Rang. With this kind of a background, the focus of the film keeps going back to the songs, and this is the first film in a very long time in Hindi cinema that had almost 10 plus songs, and each song became a chart buster in its own right. Super Cassette Industries was also devotedly promoting Anuradha Podwal as their in-house sound. And this is a film where all songs were sung by Anuradha Podwal. In fact, the cassettes of Aashiqui often had either, this is first release, which does not have that sticker which says songs sung by Anuradha Paudwal, but the photo of Anuradha Paudwal. And later, the back cover started having photos of Kumar Sanu. There was also a photo of Gulshan Kumar in the inlay card of the audio cassette. And this is the kind of visibility, popularity that Super Cassette Industries, T-Series and Gulshan Kumar were giving to the singers. Shanu became an overnight sensation after this, and there was hardly a film between 1990 and say 95, 97 that did not feature a Kumar Shanu song. Unfortunately, as luck would have it, Anuradha Paudwal was limited to T-Series films, and there were a very few films that she ventured out or she sang and did the playback singing for. But Shanu and Anuradha both became a force to reckon with after this, and Kumar Shanu ended up winning the Filmfare for Best Singer in a row for 5 times after Aashiqui. This was the film that started it all. If you see the film today, certain things are as clear as they were 30 years ago when the film came out. The acting is not superlative. The performances, especially both the leads, Rahul Roy and Anu Agarwal. Anu Agarwal was a very successful model who became a star after Aashiqui, but she could not really capitalize on her stardom. Maybe she was not even interested in cinema per se. Those of you out there who are a little more intrigued with the mystery of Anu Agarwal, she wrote her autobiography, and it's a wonderful little book to read and to understand filmmaking and certain aspects of filmmaking of the 1990s that don't get spoken about that much. Rahul Roy's voice was dubbed by Aditya Pancholi in the film, and this becomes very clear in the scenes where Rahul's character is telling Annu to run. If you remember that scene where he's shouting, "Bhag Annu, bhag." You just have to close your eyes and you know that it's Aditya Pancholi. Rahul Roy, of course, later worked on a lot of his style and his nuances and even his diction. And by the time you see a film like Gumrah, where he plays the second lead and the villain, he holds his own in front of somebody like Sridevi and a bigger star like Sanjay Dutt. The film became such a big success that for about a few weeks, in fact almost 4 months, Rahul Roy had no work because people were still enamored by the music of the film. It was all over the place. Nobody even looked at the writers or the director or the camera person or the actors of the film. And suddenly, after about 4 months, Rahul Roy signed a spate of films in a single day. He had, at one point in time, he almost had 27 films that he had signed on. Later films did not become that big a success. Of course, a film like Pyar Ka Saya, which again had music by Nadeem Shravan, stood out as far as the public memory goes. And it also became a period where films were marketed and sold on the name of Nadeem Shravan. That brand of Nadeem Shravan as music directors became so big that it was enough for their name to attract people to go and watch films. If you see a few films that followed, films like Deewana, which of course in hindsight appear to be important because it's the debut of Shah Rukh Khan, it's also a revival of sorts of Rishi Kapoor. But back then, when the film came out in 1992, it was solely on Nadeem Shravan's music, on the basis of that music, that got people flocking to the cinema halls. Similarly, the case with Pyar Ka Saya, a very bad remake of the Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore starrer Ghost. It had music by Nadeem Shravan. Again, chartbuster songs. It did very well for a little while. Every single film that Nadeem Shravan touched, became gold for the producers. And they started ruling the charts like very few before them. I don't think there was ever a time where a single music director or a music duo impacted Hindi film music the way Nadeem Shravan did for that brief period between 1990 with Aashiqui and perhaps 97, 98 till the time Dhadkan, which is the last of their big hits. there's a lot of history also attached, a different kind of history attached to the relationship that Nadeem Shravan had with Gulshan Kumar, the man credited with discovering them. But that's a story for a different day. Today, we are enjoying Aashiqui, and we at Cinemazi love the past. We really like to go back in time and relive things that make Hindi cinema, Indian cinema great and unique. And today we are going to take you on a trip which is actually a walk down memory lane. So we have the cassette. This was a common thing back then. Today it's an antique. So we have this, and for boys and girls out there who don't know how we used to enjoy music back then, a 2-in-1. A 2-in-1 because it could play an audio cassette and it also had a radio. So it had two things in a single machine. So this is what we are going to do. You put a cassette, and you had to be very careful because the record button and the play button used to be together. So unless you had like this, you needed to break these lungs here, and otherwise accidentally if you press record, that's it, that's the end of your thing. Imagine accidentally deleting certain files on a pen drive. This is what it was. So there goes the cassette, and this is how an entire generation of us enjoyed Aashiqui, enjoyed the songs of Aashiqui, and we wore out so many tapes that we ended up buying the cassette again and again, which of course is a factor that contributed to Aashiqui's success. We at Cinemazi love doing these kind of things. Keep watching our videos and let us know what kind of stories you would like to watch, or which year or decade you would go back to and rediscover, and we would love to do that. आशिकी